Hey everybody, you're watching a physio named Jonah. That's this guy. I've been seeing more questions in my comments section recently about Physiotherapy School, so I want to dedicate today's video to that topic. Specifically, today's video will address the question, is Physio School right for me? Nobody's asked me that question specifically, but I think it's a good one to take a look at. I'll be addressing this question of my own with a series of my own questions, because we all know the best way to answer a question is with your own question. Then the person who asked the first question asks another question, and then you ask them a question back. They might think of a different one to ask you at that point, and then you should probably spin at least one more question in until both of you get bored and walk away from each other. Communication 101. Now with all that in mind, let's get into my first question of the day to see if Physio School is right for you. Do you like working with people? First, and possibly most importantly, do you like working with people? Seriously, think about it. Do you like working with people? As a physiotherapist, you will work with a lot of people. There are other professions that include interactions with people, of course, but this is the main crux of a lot of fields of physiotherapy. Physiotherapists work in hospitals, clinic settings, rehab centers, they work with sports teams, they work in schools, they work in research centers. There are many different areas where physiotherapists work, but working with people is going to be front and center in almost all of those contexts. The people that you're coming to contact with every day may be other team members, other healthcare providers, or the patients that you are directly treating. Either way, this question stands because you will be working with people. This also applies to Physiotherapy School itself, because I found that in comparison to my undergraduate studies, there was more partner or group work in Physio School. This makes a lot of sense because the job that you'll be doing after work means you'll be working with people a lot. So take the time to consider how much you enjoy working with the public or as part of a team, because your career as a physiotherapist will likely have you doing a lot of both. Are you willing to work hard in your studies? Let's be honest with each other. Physiotherapy is a competitive program to get into in Canada. I went to the University of Toronto, so let's use that as our example for today. Last year, in 2021, there were 1,282 applicants to that program. There are 110 spots available. Those odds obviously are not great. Most applicants apply to multiple schools, so it's not just one program they're trying to get into, but I bring these numbers up just to show that Physio School is a competitive entry program. This means that in your undergraduate university studies, you need to be achieving at a high academic level in order to gain access to Physiotherapy School. This is going to require a commitment to your academic studies. Most programs have a minimum requirement for application. However, this is a lot lower than the actual competitive average, which can be as high as 3.85 on a 4-point GPA scale. That is a tall order to attain. Once you are in Physiotherapy School itself, the emphasis on your grade point average does drop significantly, but this doesn't mean that your academic focus gets to ease up all that much. There are difficult programs and courses within the program that you'll be taking that are going to require a lot of self-study and time invested into being a full-time student. Material is always easier to learn when you enjoy it, and I absolutely loved my time in Physiotherapy School, but I bring this point up just to say that being a physiotherapist or going to Physiotherapy School will require you to make some strong academic commitments. Do you like learning about the human body? I know this sounds obvious, but it is important to consider because in the courses that you take leading up to Physio School and in Physiotherapy School, you'll be learning about the body at a very deep level. This will include courses in anatomy, physiology, biomechanics, as well as how the body moves and how the different systems of the body interact. There will be some parts of understanding the body that come to you easier than others. For me, I found that the musculoskeletal system, or muscles and bones, came to me a bit easier than neuroanatomy and neurophysiology. However, if you enjoy learning about the body and are driven by a genuine curiosity or desire to understand more, this makes it a lot easier to sink the extra time into understanding those difficult parts for you. Keep this in mind as you consider what program you're going into, because you'll be spending a lot of time with this material. Are you willing to be adaptable? One of the biggest hurdles that I found in transitioning from undergraduate and high school studies to Physiotherapy School as a master's is that there are a lot fewer set-in-stone answers. Now, this is because in healthcare there is a lot of gray area, And because Physiotherapy School is preparing you for clinical practice, it has to embrace that gray area and include that within the program. This can make learning and testing a bit of a big transition from your previous studies, but now that I'm a practicing physiotherapist and looking back on the program, this adaptability is really important because embracing the gray area in terms of your knowledge is important for preparing for actual clinical practice. You also need to be adaptable in terms of your hands-on clinical placements that you do throughout the physiotherapy program. You'll be placed in multiple different contexts throughout the healthcare system to see the different ends of the system that physiotherapists practice in. And odds are you won't like all of them. But with that in mind, being adaptable and open to trying to think about things differently will make your experience a lot better and likely make you a better physiotherapist afterwards. Do you know what physio practice is like in the real world? Okay, I know this sounds kind of snarky, but I promise that it isn't. One of the best ways to know that you actually want to do a career and not just attend a program is to see what that job is like in the real world. I knew that I was interested in physiotherapy, but I didn't know that I wanted to be a physiotherapist until I saw what it was in practice. It was after my in-person internship at a clinic in Ottawa that I knew I wanted to be a part of this profession for sure. Do you know what a working physiotherapist's hours are like? Do you know what they do in those hours? Do you know what sort of responsibilities they have? The maybe less glamorous parts of the job? What are the nuts and bolts of the day-to-day? I strongly recommend doing your best to find ways to see what physiotherapy practice is like in real life before considering physiotherapy school. Liking the material or being interested in learning about the human body is not the same as liking the nuts and bolts of what a job is actually going to be. Following a team of physiotherapists in a hospital, following a physio in a clinic, doing a co-op with a clinic or hospital, doing an internship, find a way to put yourself into the practical world of physiotherapy to see if this is something that you really want to do as a career. If you made it to this point in the video, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope that today's video helped you know a little more about whether or not Physio School is a good fit for you. Feel free to drop any additional comments or questions you may have about Physio School in the comments section below. And if you enjoyed the video, consider leaving a like or subscribing to my channel. Either way helps my channel grow, and I definitely appreciate the support. Most importantly though, guys, as always, move your body, have a laugh today, and I will see you at the next video.